Hey, welcome back, folks. We may have some answers over these mystery drones flying all over the United States. It turns out that these mystery sightings, especially in Jersey, well, the mystery may be solved, at least to an extent, because let's put it this way, the answers we're getting kind of raise more questions than give us answers to anything. This was detailed in a Thursday press briefing from the White House National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby. Watch this.
We have no evidence at this time that the reported drone sightings pose a national security or a public safety threat, or have a foreign nexus. The Department of Homeland Security and the FBI are investigating these sightings, and they're working closely with state and local law enforcement to provide resources using numerous detection methods to better understand their origin. Using very sophisticated electronic detection technologies provided by federal authorities, we have not been able to, and neither have state or local law enforcement authorities, corroborate any of the reported visual sightings. To the contrary, upon review of available imagery, it appears that many of the reported sightings are actually manned aircraft that are being operated lawfully. The United States Coast Guard is providing support to the state of New Jersey and has confirmed that there is no evidence of any foreign-based involvement from coastal vessels. And importantly, there are no reported or confirmed drone sightings in any restricted airspace. Now, that said, we certainly take seriously the threat that can be posed by unmanned aircraft systems, which is why law enforcement and other agencies continue to support New Jersey and investigate the reports, even though they have uncovered no malicious activity or intent at this particular stage. While there is no known malicious activity occurring, the reported sightings there do, however, highlight a gap in authorities. And so we urge Congress to pass important legislation that will extend and expand existing counter-drone authorities so that we are better prepared to identify and mitigate any potential threats to airports or other critical infrastructure, and so that state and local authorities are provided all the tools that they need to respond to such threats as well.
So, look, he's saying the drones are actually, quote, manned aircraft that are being operated lawfully. So technically, what does that mean? That means they're not drones. These are aircraft with pilots inside, manned aircraft, right? There's pilots. They're operating lawfully. That means that they're either licensed or approved, that again, they have FAA clearance, or possibly that, again, you know, they're something, but they're allowed to be operating. It's legal, it's lawful. These are not foreign, meaning it's not another country. These are good old American aircraft, and we're not being given answers on what they are. But as John Kirby also notes, quote, right, well, he says that they're taking steps to counter these drone authorities, right? They're looking at different ways to respond to these types of drone incursions. And this is interesting because what he's suggesting is the aircraft people are seeing right now, they're manned, there are pilots inside, they're operating lawfully. They're not really telling us what this is or why it's happening or why there's so many of them and why they do it night by night. But he is saying that the concerns over this are going to spark new legislation possibly, where the government is going to be looking at giving officials ways to shoot them down or ground them or whatever else. We could see new legislation regulating drones, especially in sensitive areas, because of the concern that has been sparked by these aircraft. But look, anyways, at least partially, the mystery is solved. We still don't have answers on what these aircraft are. We still don't know why they're being flown like this. We don't know why it's being done in such a secretive manner that governors and sheriffs are concerned about it, trying to track what's really going on with it, and they're not being told, at least not on what we know, what's actually happening. And the public is not being fully told what's happening in a way that would quell fears. Something's going on, but the government seems to be not too concerned about it. They've repeatedly said these things don't pose a threat. They're now saying again, these are lawfully run flights that have pilots inside. We don't know why it's happening, right? But folks, we will probably get more answers on this because it's sparking a lot of concerns even despite all this. I see some of you in the chat are actually saying that you saw some of these things. Maybe afterwards we get to Q&A, we can talk more about that. But look, in other news, there have been reports going around that the president-elect, Donald Trump, he's planning to cancel a $1 trillion contract with defense manufacturer Lockheed Martin to purchase F-35 fighter jets. And Lockheed Martin responded to these allegations, and they're saying simply, quote, "This is false reporting and fake news," suggesting no, Trump has not suggested he's going to cancel these contracts. Well, look, the high cost of fifth-generation fighter jets, that's the F-35, that's the F-22, these have been points of debate when it comes to defense spending. They cost a lot of money, and you don't get a lot of them, right? Some experts have alleged that the future of warfighting should be more focused on drones, unmanned vehicles, and stuff like that. That it should be focused on lower cost and greater numbers of weapons. And this has become a particular point given what we've been watching in the Ukraine war. We've gotten to see, for example, how American tanks fare on the modern battlefield. And what we're seeing is the bigger the asset, the bigger the target. And the more expensive it is, well, if it can be destroyed easily by a drone, was it really worth it this whole time? If a few $100 drone can drop a little bomb on a multi-million-dollar tank and blow it up in an instant, was it worth it in the end? Well, drones have become a key part of the battlefield, and that's why people are looking at them. Personally, I would add to this debate, though. With Epoch Times, I've been a national security reporter also for a very long time, and I follow a lot of military news, and I have been for a very long time. The real benefit of fifth-generation fighter jets is not what's being discussed on these kind of surface-level capabilities. The real benefits are stealth, long-range capabilities. They can hit targets so far out that they can't even see them. Also, they integrate with other key weapon systems like submarines for stealth missions and so on. They're capable of special missions. They're capable of things we're probably not being told about. They have massive capabilities for data gathering as well. You can fly a fifth-generation jet in a very stealth manner and basically just scoop up all the information being fielded in that entire war zone. And we don't even know the full capabilities of this, but that's the main benefit of it. I would also personally add something else, which I believe is the most important point: electronic warfare. Now, I personally believe that electronic warfare is going to become one of the most important areas of next-generation battlefields. This includes technologies that can alter data being collected. You can alter data being collected going into assets like satellites and otherwise. You can also alter data as it leaves those assets using electronic warfare. There's a whole battlefield over that. It could also mean seizing control of something like a drone. And more importantly, I'd say, it includes things like EMP weapons. These are likely going to be some of the most important things we're going to be seeing on the future battlefields, especially when countries like China are looking at drone swarms. The U.S. military and defense contractors, they have demonstrated, even in public videos, some of the capabilities of EMP weapons. In fact, so advanced that fighter jet carried EMP weapons are so precise that they can destroy the electronics on a single floor of an apartment building. There are videos where they demonstrate these capabilities. Imagine if your adversary has spent all their defense budget to buy 1 million drones, and they have 1 million drones heading towards you, and you hit it with one of these publicly demonstrated EMP weapons, and all those drones just fall out of the sky. That's what modern war looks like if you have these capabilities. Bringing to the point the importance of fifth-generation weaponry. One of the most important parts about fifth-generation and also 4.5-generation fighter jets is they are hardened against electronic warfare. And I would say in the future, anything, at least with advanced countries fighting, anything that is not hardened against electronic warfare can be brought down with an EMP weapon like a fly running into a zapper. It's like nothing. A country could spend their entire defense budget and buy 1 billion planes. And if you have an EMP weapon, you can fry those electronics, and those planes and the entire defense budget are going to fall out of the sky like they're nothing. That's why EMP weapons matter. And also that's why hardening against those weapons matter. Fifth generation, 4.5 generation have hardening like that. Personally, I think, this is my analysis, right? I think these are the reasons why the F-35 and the F-22 are going to remain important parts of the U.S. arsenal despite the price tags. And again, we'll see what happens with this, but they're now working on 6th generation fighter jets as well now. And again, the future battlefields are currently being formed.